What up, nerds, and welcome to another grumpy episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 520, recorded Sunday, March 16th, 2025. Tonight we're talking about the winner of the March poll, which was Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show tonight. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got your boy, Rand Diesel. What's up?
You think a pirate lives in there?
What's going on, baby? You ready to talk pirates? I can't. I'm having a hard time tonight. I'm having a hard time because I had to decide whether I was going to enjoy some pirate rum or some Irish whiskey, because it is also St. Patrick's Day. I went with the whiskey. I'm wearing the green, but, you know, we'll see how the night goes. I might have to take a single shot of each for each moment.
Just do a half and half. Whiskey and rum together. Like, what could go wrong?
That's a cocktail. I'm a mixologist.
Nothing could go wrong. I know. Trust me. I know. Godspeed, brother. Next up, calling in from Seoul, South Korea, we got your boy Soju. What's up?
It's your boy Deadeye Dagger Soju. What up, boys? Actually, I got some rum too. Maybe I'll do a shot with you, Randy. Let me know.
You carry the rum, I'll carry the whiskey.
Announce when the shot's
I'll be in Scotland before you.
I gotta go pick it up, but yeah. All right, what up?
Pick it up.
Well, I mean,
from the store,
from the kitchen.
All right, everybody sit here for 20 minutes.
I forgot I ordered a barrel of rum. Everybody sit tight. I'll be
Gotta
right
carry
back.
it up the stairs.
If you don't consistently say where has the rum gone while you're looking the entire time, then I don't even fucking know you.
I don't even know you. Last but not least, everybody, welcome back Nicole to the show. What is up, Nicole? Thanks for sitting in with us.
Yeah.
Ahoy, fellas. So, Randy, I had the exact same problem. I was like, whiskey or rum. So I'm drinking rum and Coke, but I'm drinking it out of my Louisiana Irish Italian Parade cup from St. Patrick's Day in New Orleans.
Love it.
So I think
Italy into the mix too, and New Orleans.
I think I found the perfect balance. So that's where I am tonight. And like Bob, I have also been drinking since noon.
And I'm eating some Chinese dumplings right now too.
It's a multicultural episode tonight. That's what we're doing.
Got any jerk chicken on hand? I could go for some real bad.
It's just like being at Epcot, just a little bit of everything. It is, on trend.
It's a tour of the world,
which fits Disney. Look at us.
Yeah,
we're doing it.
Disney, dark liquor.
When I
Disney.
think Disney,
it's all coming together.
Mixing my drinks.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I do. I don't know.
I mean, hell yeah. What kind of rum are we drinking? What do we do? You guys got? The
I think I've only got coconut. Captain.
Coconut is not. Okay.
That's all I've got.
Caribbean, Bob. It's fine.
I meant like who made it, not like the flavor. What else?
The coconuts made it, Rob. Come on.
I believe it was
the captain. Okay. All right. Fantastic.
Mine, actually, local plug. Mine is Lugo's from Lakeland, Florida. I've not been to that distillery yet, but I've heard good things. I was gifted a bottle by some friends, and I like it a lot. So, Lugo's, Lakeland, Florida.
Nice.
I got some Jameson too.
Busker's Irish whiskey, which is literally my first time tasting it just this second, and it is certainly whiskey.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't have a palate, so I can't say if it's good or bad.
I don't have a palate.
For sure.
I can't.
Your
palate
is shit.
Yeah, unless it's like Cheeto dust, I can't really taste it.
Damn.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, we're talking about Pirates of the Caribbean, which, Juice, so this was your takeover month as far as the poll is concerned. Dark Disney was the theme, and this was the winner.
It
So,
was, and it
here we
was
are.
specifically designed to have Nicole on. She's our Disney expert. And yeah, I mentioned this before. So last year I wanted to do this specific film with Nicole for Creature Comforts, since I knew she loved Disney, and I just hadn't seen this movie in a while. And I really do love nautical themed like horror and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so heading into the kind of warmer months, I thought this would be great if I could pick it for my takeover. It won, luckily, and here we are. 1 year later, Nicole, we finally
Just had to put it
got
up
it.
against a couple paper
We're
tigers.
doing it.
Straight
Put it
chilling.
up against.
It's a long
Sorry, go ahead.
con. It's always a long con with us.
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing
See,
happens.
you can either
quickly.
have Nightmare on Elm Street, or you can have this footage of my toes, or you can,
Jesus.
I hope we don't
Oh.
get sued for misleading the investors. You know,
I know.
the investors. I guess that's. I mean, I don't know. Is a patron considered an investor? I don't know.
yeah.
Nicole,
Don't sue me.
so you've got a couple podcasts. One of them is horror centric, and I feel like most listeners of our show probably do know about Light and Shadow podcast. But why don't you remind them and also tell them about your Disney podcast?
Sure. So, Light and Shadow monthly horror podcast. I don't do reviews. I do kind of more of like a topical thing. Right now, I'm doing Fundamental Frights, which is just sort of like my favorite horror movies, the ones that have like shaped my experience with the genre. But I used to, before I did Light and Shadow, my first podcast was Disney Native. And I did it with a very good friend of mine who was also a pass holder. She and I were both pass holders. And, for about 2 years, we would get together once a month, have a cocktail, and just talk about all kinds of different things. Our favorite rides, history of rides, best resorts to stay at, best food, Goofy movie, our favorite movies, all kinds of just nerdy Disney adult stuff. So that show is no longer, but you can still find it. There are about, I think, 50 or 60 episodes. So, you know, seek it out if you're into that. And also, not only was I a pass holder when I lived in Florida, but I worked at Disney 2 different times. I was on the college program in 2005, and I worked on Main Street Magic Kingdom, so like the big show. And then I also worked at the Boardwalk Resort at the ice cream shop in 2010. So Disney for me is just like, I love it as like a vacation, but it's also a little bit of like a second home to me. Like, since I've seen all the behind the scenes, like I know how the sausage is made. I feel really personally invested in it since I was a cast member for a while. And it's just something that's sort of stuck with me throughout adulthood. So always happy to talk about the parks, the movies, the whole shebang. I'm here for the magic.
So the sausage is piglet free, right? I mean, I can't eat any of that stuff. So.
I mean, I can neither confirm nor deny.
Oh shit.
They only put the piglets in there.
There's non-zero amount
Damn.
of piglet in that
And
sausage.
and I definitely never saw Walt's frozen head. Never saw that.
Oh, come on.
That's
You
because
didn't
we
work
have it
there.
here
Come
in
on.
Korea. Disney Korea.
It was exported for some reason.
Hey, they love Asia. You might be getting one in Korea at some point.
That would be nuts. Yeah.
Cool. Check out Nicole's shows everywhere. All the places they exist. We do have a little bit of housekeeping we need to tackle real quick on our end here. If you guys do support us over on our Patreon website, we have our April poll currently posted. If you hit us up at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this April. The theme for April is Part Deuce, and the movies you're voting between are Child's Play 2, Friday the 13th Part 2, and Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Whoa, Bob, how those deuces looking?
The deuces are looking mostly the same, to be honest.
Yeah, no shifts, huh?
Slight shifts. Nightmare is still on top. Friday is still in the second place, and Child's Play Deuce is in the last place.
Well,
Damn.
somebody made us
Drill it next time,
change Child's Play Deuce. What was it? It was Hellraiser Deuce. And I wonder if that would have been more competitive.
Somebody forced us to change.
Somebody insisted. Absolutely.
Someone.
But really put the pressure on.
Man,
I
it's
honestly
really
don't
easy
even
to
remember who it
insist when
was.
nobody has a very firm opinion.
You don't.
I really don't. I don't remember who it was. It might have been me.
It could have been. I don't remember either.
I honestly don't remember.
I think I suggested Child's Play too. And
Yeah.
like,
Randy did. I don't
I'm
give a
pretty
fuck.
sure I was.
The fact that
I
Justin
didn't
had
care
no
either.
idea is hilarious. But yeah, Randy, I think you wanted to keep it more like slasher centric. I think with the
I think that's
the three
right.
movies.
And also, just like I know there's a lot of affection for that series, but clearly not enough.
Apparently not.
Or for that particular installment is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, get your votes in before the end of the month. We'll see what we're talking about this April. We're also dropping mini casts every other Friday over on Patreon. This past Friday, we just dropped an episode on Heart Eyes, the Valentine's Day slasher film. Your boy Soju was talking about that, and I believe he was just shitting all over it.
No, that is wrong.
I didn't listen. I have no idea, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I believe that. But no, I cover that one. It was a very clear rom-com slasher blend. Rom-com. No, they actually put in the work to like make all the rom-com beats kind of hit and everything like that. So yeah, it was an interesting type of slasher.
Yeah. Check it out over on our Patreon. Next up, we got a review on Companion dropping.
mm-hmm.
Who did that?
Friday the 28th. That was
Robert.
your boy, me. Bo Bear.
Borscht Bob, eh?
Your boy, Borscht Bob. Talking about Companion. We did also reopen the You Pick the Flick tier today on Patreon. We do this quarterly. If you guys hope to pick a movie for us to review on the show, this is the only way to do it. We opened this tier quarterly, 5 spots per quarter. They sold out in about 7 minutes today. So congratulations to everybody that
A little
nabbed
too
a
long
spot.
for my liking. I mean,
Yeah, we got to pump those numbers up.
Yeah, like come on, guys. Are you fall asleep at the wheel? Like what's going on?
Come on now.
7 minutes. What's going on? Congratulations to Nicole for grabbing a
What?
U pick.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hell yeah!
Just a hostile takeover of the podcast. Here
Listen,
we go.
and well, you guys inspired me because the movie that I picked, I had kind of forgotten about it, but it's right on this dark Disney track, so I'm going to keep that train rolling. So
Keep that under wraps. I don't even know what it is.
yeah,
yet.
just a little teaser for the folks.
Mhm.
Stay tuned.
All right.
Hell yeah! Also, congratulations to Hydraberg, Miles, Alice, and Mike for grabbing a You Pick the Flick spot.
Is that Alice? Your
job.
Alice?
That is my wife.
I may or may not be in a domestic partnership with one of these patrons.
Can't wait.
I don't know which one. It's up to you to decide, okay?
Look, we got to keep some obscurity here, some mystery in the mix.
Congrats to you and Hydra.
We're very
Mazel
happy.
tov.
Reach arounds
Thank
for
you.
life. Am I right, buddy?
The man can reach around like nobody I've ever met before in my life. He's got a certain poetry to it, let me tell you. That's it for Patreon. Do you guys have anything else you need to plug?
I don't have a damn thing.
Yes, I did a guest episode with Caitlin over at Plug It Up. I believe the episode's probably coming out this week. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it is on the 9th gate, so double dose of old Johnny Depp for me this week. I had never seen that before. I actually never even heard of that movie before, to be honest. But it's a film from '99, and yeah, it's kind of got some it's a Roman Polanski film. So his movie was the
Rosemary's
horror
Baby?
film Rosemary's Baby. Thank you, Jesus Christ, I could not. It's got some Rosemary's Baby vibes actually in there. But yeah, it was a pretty interesting flick, and we had a good discussion on it. So yeah, check that out over at Plug It Up.
Cool.
That's all I
The
got.
depths.
Check it
Yeah,
out.
I got nothing else. Bob, you clear? You clean?
I am clear and clean and everything in between.
This house is clean.
All right, let's get into the main event. We're talking about Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, you got this box? You got the whole box set? There's like 6 of them or something, I think.
There's 5 movies. I just have the first one on Blu-ray here.
Oh, really?
I thought
I'm
about
genuinely
getting the
surprised by
box
that.
set, but it's expensive, and I don't really want to watch them all. So I just bought
It's
this.
expensive?
Just bought-
Disney?
That's never
What?
stopped you before. Neither of these things have stopped you before.
I did briefly consider maybe I should watch all 5, and then I watched this one. And I was like, no, that's enough. I don't.
It's a long movie.
I don't need to watch 4 more.
Actually,
movies.
yeah. I mean, it's been a while since I've only seen the original trilogy. I've
Me
never
too,
seen
yeah.
4 or 5 actually.
Same. Yeah.
We are. I mean, yeah.
Well, are we all?
We're
are we all on the
basically
same
doing
page on
have you
that?
seen it before?
Yeah.
We're jumping into it.
But yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. This is, you can stream it, you can buy it, you can rent it. It's very accessible. Watch it anywhere you want to. This is from 2003, rated PG-13 with a runtime of 2 hours and 23 minutes. This was directed by Gore Verbinski, which I don't know if I ever knew that, or maybe I just forgot that, but damn, I don't know how that
Yeah.
slipped my memory. This was written by Ted Elliott, Terry Rossio, Stuart Beatty, starring Johnny Depp, Jeffrey Rush, Orlando Bloom, Keira Knightley, a bunch of lovely, beautiful, talented actors. Plot synopsis brought to you by IMDb is as follows. A blacksmith, Will Turner, teams up with eccentric pirate Captain Jack Sparrow to save Elizabeth Swann, the governor's daughter, and his love from Jack's former pirate allies who are now undead. I feel like we've definitely all seen this movie before, but would we recommend folks check it out? Nicole, why don't you kick us off?
Absolutely. Just to preface a little bit, I am super into all things dark Disney. And even though this movie, I think, doesn't quite take us all the way into dark Disney territory, it's close enough. It's close enough. And so I was excited when this movie came out, but also I remember being a little cautious about it because I was just it's based on a ride. How good can it be? And I was just pleasantly surprised. I think this movie has a little bit of something for everybody. And so for me, as a pure horror recommendation, that's a little hard because that's not really what this movie is. But honestly, I think this movie, you can watch it with your friends, you can watch it with your family, all around. I think it's a recommend for general audiences.
Hell yeah. Randeezy, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo that for the most part. Yeah, I saw this movie, and I remember seeing this in theaters, despite the fact that I had the same concerns when I was a middle schooler of a discerning tastes, and I did not want to be cowed into watching a theme park film that was not going to be beneath me. And of course, this was not. This is a very, very accessible and fun film. If it weren't for the fact that I'm married to the one dissenter I've ever met, I would say that you'd have to be pretty joyless to not like this movie. So, yeah, I really like this movie a whole lot. We're gonna get into it. I have a lot of nostalgic affection for it too, and we're gonna get into that too. But yeah, as far as general audiences go, absolutely. For specifically somebody looking for horror, absolutely not. This is an adventure film. It's not a horror film. I hate parsing the genre, but if we're making that distinction, then yeah, this is not a horror film to me. This is definitely an adventure action film.
All right. Juice, defend yourself. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I would recommend people check this out if you'd never seen it before. This is probably one of the best, at least just popping up in my mind, because we've covered some other horror adjacent things from Disney, like Haunted Mansion and stuff like that. This is the best live action Disney movie that kind of sticks out in my mind, especially when I think about this movie, I think about Disney kind of having their big boom in the 90s with their animation and then kind of transitioning out of that. And I think this was a huge success. And I think I was very surprised by that at the time and even kind of today. Yeah, I think this movie is really good and a lot of fun. And I love the kind of horror things that it's playing with just the haunted nautical themes, the ghost ships, the skeletons and stuff like that. So it's not horror, but it has the horror elements that we don't get a lot in a lot of just other like standalone properties. So to get that kind of horror fix, I think this is really fun watch. So yeah, I would recommend people check it out. Robert, how about you? Would you recommend people check this out?
Yes, absolutely. I would recommend people check this out. This is like a great gateway horror movie. Like I think like Scooby-Doo, like Ghost Pirates, and then I think like Pirates of the Caribbean Ghost Pirates, and then I think like The Fog Ghost Pirates. And then like it's this nice like ramp up into the horror genre. And I forgot, it's been years since I've seen this movie. I forgot how much like straight up just murder happens in this, like a ton of murder for like a PG-13 Disney movie. So like, is this horror? No, it's not, but it is about ghost pirates or like zombie pirates, however you want to, frame exactly what they are. So like, I think it's a really nice gateway horror movie. So like, if you're a hardened horror fan, it's probably not going to like scratch your horror itch, but I think it might get a younger group of people interested in like, I don't know, maybe one day watching The Fog or something like that. So I think it definitely has its place in our show, in our conversation generally, just being considered. So yeah, it's worth watching.
I think this.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, it's just generally a recommend for me. That's about it though.
I think this movie is gonna more likely influence young kids to play Kingdom Hearts than it is to get them into horror, but that's just me.
Hey, you never know. If you're watching this,
I'm not saying it's impossible or that it doesn't happen.
If you're watching it with your little nieces and they are terrified at the skeleton parts, you know what? We can't move on. If they're into it, maybe we
is
can
that a
try
story
other
from life,
things.
or is that a hypothetical?
No, because my real life nieces are not so much into scary things. We'll see.
Okay.
You kids ever heard of
It's
John
definitely scarier than
Carpenter?
Ghost with Patrick Swayze, I'll tell you that much. So
Carpenter, eh?
Cop Tinder. Cool. That sounds
what's next?
like, I guess, a recommendation, sort of.
Yeah,
mostly.
I think we all recommended it.
Yeah, there you go.
Nothing but lukewarm recommendations from my crew.
Watch it if you want to. Who gives a fuck? Okay, here comes your
What are we
spoiler
doing here?
warning.
Here we-
Spoiler warning.
So Gore Verbinski did the whole, like the first trilogy, and this is the first movie he did after The Ring. Isn't that crazy?
I did not know
That is
that.
crazy,
That
yeah.
is insane to me.
This is the movie I
Ring
think about when I think about Gore
2002,
Verbinski, honestly.
and then The Pirates right after.
This is the movie you think of when you hear Gore Verbinski's name. Is that what you said, Rain?
Yeah, for whatever reason,
Really?
that's the synapse that fires.
It's always
yeah,
The
I don't-
Ring,
I don't know
and
why.
I never realized this was him. I don't know.
I don't think
Yeah.
of The Ring as having a director.
It just
That's a movie
existed.
that it's a carbon copy of some Japanese director's film. That's what it is.
To be fair, he also did Mouse Hunt in '97, which I used to
Whoa,
love when
okay,
I was
hold
a
on.
kid too. Yeah.
Me too.
Let's get the Oscar discussion started here.
Hang on, really quick. This is how his films got released. Mouse Hunt '97, The Mexican 2001, The Ring 2002, Pirates of the Caribbean 2003. What the?
Damn,
That's a
dude.
journeyman director.
He likes to mix it up.
That's
I
nuts.
respect a versatile director, even if I don't love most of his output.
Anyways, Bob, you got a plot for us?
I do. I got to read a lot. We'll see how this goes. I don't know. It's
Take a shot first.
we'll see.
And skip
Yeah.
to the end there.
I haven't had enough alcohol yet. All right, here we go. In the 18th century, Governor Weatherby Swann and his daughter Elizabeth are sailing with Lieutenant Norrington and his crew. They end up recovering a shipwreck survivor named Will Turner. Elizabeth takes a gold medallion from around his neck before seeing a ship in the distance with black sails. 8 years later, in Port Royal, Jamaica, Norrington is promoted to Commodore. After the ceremony, he proposes to Elizabeth, who faints and falls into the ocean due to her corset being too tight. The medallion she's wearing emits a strange pulse, and she is saved by the pirate Captain Jack Sparrow. Norrington identifies him as a pirate. They end up dueling, which results in Jack's imprisonment. That night, Port Royal is attacked by the ship that Elizabeth saw 8 years prior, the Black Pearl. The pirates are searching for the medallion and take Elizabeth on board to meet Captain Barbossa. He explains the medallion is one of 882 pieces of gold used to bribe Hernan Cortez to stop his slaughter of the Aztecs. The gold was cursed by the gods due to Cortez's greed, so when Barbossa and his crew found the gold at Isle de Muerta and spent it, they became immortal pirate zombies. To lift the curse, they must return all the gold, and each pirate must pay a blood sacrifice. The only pirate left who hasn't paid the sacrifice is Bootstrap Bill, who was lost at sea. Barbossa believes Elizabeth to be Bootstrap's child, whom he gave his gold medallion to, and intends to use her blood as a sacrifice in place of his. Back at Port Royal, Will frees Jack to help save Elizabeth. The two escape to Tortuga to recruit a crew from Joshua Gibbs. Gibbs reveals that Jack was once the captain of the Black Pearl, but he was betrayed by Barbossa on Isle de Muerta. Barbossa, he fails to lift the curse with Elizabeth's blood. However, Will and Elizabeth escape with a medallion, while Jack is captured and imprisoned on the Black Pearl. A battle ensues between Commodore Norrington's ship and the Black Pearl. Will eventually surrenders himself in exchange for Elizabeth, realizing he is in fact Bootstrap Bill's offspring. Barbossa destroys Norrington's ship. He captures its crew and leaves Jack and Elizabeth stranded on a desert island. Elizabeth signals a Navy ship who rescues them. She then agrees to marry Norrington if he rescues Will. That night, Jack and Norrington plan to ambush the pirates at Isle de Muerta. Jack convinces Barbossa to delay lifting the curse until after defeating Norrington's men. Jack hides a medallion for immortality and frees Will. Jack shoots Barbossa as Will returns the gold medallion with his blood, breaking the curse. Barbossa, now a mortal, is killed by the gunshot, and the remainder of his crew are killed and or surrender. Back at Port Royal, Will declares his love for Elizabeth and saves Jack from being hanged. They're surrounded by Norrington's men, but Elizabeth intervenes and says she prefers to marry Will instead. Norrington, he ends up... Jack falls into the sea and is rescued by the Black Pearl. Norrington then gives Jack 1 day's head start before he plans to pursue him. Governor Swann gives his blessings to the marriage, and Will and Elizabeth are happily ever after. Jack becomes the captain of the Black Pearl once again, yada yada. Roll credits. There you go. Flawless plot synopsis. Ooh. Flawless.
Happily ever after for now until the next blockbuster film season.
There you go. There you go there.
Yeah.
I've seen this film many times, but it had been quite a while since I watched it. And I was a little nervous, honestly, because I kind of held this film in quite high regards in my mind. And I watched it, and it didn't disappoint me. It maybe didn't live up to maybe necessarily my memory as high as it was, but it didn't disappoint. It did nothing like let me down or anything. So, and for a movie that came out in 2003, where there are some scenes that heavily rely on the special effects of the skeletons and stuff like that, I think this is a way. Yeah, it's not flawless by any means. It's not the most amazing thing, but it's like in the dark and hidden well enough to where it's like good enough. It's not like it doesn't bother me, and typically you would think 2003 graphics would, but they didn't, and I was pleased by that. I think that was one of the biggest things I was kind of worried about. Gorgeous.
I think they get worse as they go, honestly. Like, this is
I don't
maybe
think
the cleanest. True. Oh, really? It's been a long time since I've seen them, to be fair, but in my memory, I feel like the graphics tend to get a little looser.
I say that specifically with Davy Jones in mind. I think the at least the art direction and like the graphics on that shit was pretty fucking great. Okay. I do agree though. I think that the CG in this could be a lot worse than it is. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how much of this is rose tinted glasses from nostalgia. There's going to be a lot of that for me. I just have a lot of nostalgia for this film. But watching it even now, it's like, I don't know. There's something about the tone of this movie, if this movie was trying to be darker than it is, trying to truly be horror, it would not be sufficient. It's not scary, but it is evocative, and it is, it plays to the charms of the zombie pirate without actually, leaning so hard as to be hyper believable. That's totally fine for this tenor of film, in my opinion.
I totally agree. And I think even it seems like all the pirates, even like Barbossa and like they're like the bad guys in this movie, like even they are not like truly evil, makes it kind of charming. Like even when they like capture Elizabeth and like have her on the boat, even that interaction is like, you never feel like these pirates are going to like really harm her. They have her as like a pawn or whatever. And then of course, like as we go through the franchise, the bad guys become the good guys and the guys become the bad guys. And I do also really love how like everyone in this movie, we've got Captain Jack as our main guy and then Barbossa is the main villain. And they're trying to one-up each other, but so is everyone else. Like Elizabeth's trying to one-up, and Will's trying to one-up, and Norrington's trying to one-up, and everybody's got power over different people, and all of that like little interplay where you're not sure like who you can trust. I think that all makes it really fun. And to your point, Randy, like they're not trying to do something too serious. So like even in this movie, when we have like villains and we have stakes, it's always still that like fun adventure level. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I really think that like more than anything, this movie succeeds because everyone's motivations, like there's all these characters and there's like you said, like a lot of one-upping, a lot of gamesmanship happening. In another movie that wasn't about the scoundrel pirate, that might be a little bit exhausting, but in this it makes fucking perfect sense. So that's what these characters are, or what these kinds of characters, what these archetypes are known for, so it makes sense. And also just like their motivations are just individually, on an individual basis, completely rock solid, easy to understand, easy to digest. So all of the action that takes place is completely immersible for me. Like even if the CG isn't great, even if it's not realistic, even whatever, all that stuff is a lot easier to digest because I just know what they're fighting for, which becomes less and less true as this series goes on. And a lot of other series just don't do it this well.
Yeah. Also, to the acting power here, I know a lot of people, Jack Sparrow instantly became this iconic character and everything like that. But I mean, this watch around, I'd never not thought this, but this watch around specifically analyzing everything, Barbossa is so fun to watch. And you have a couple of really great dialogues going, or like speeches that are given sometimes, but Barbossa's explanation of the whole curse and the apple, and like I can't feel the spray of the ocean on my face or the wind blow, like that. He talks about how
fucking isn't fulfilling in a Disney film.
It's so
Family
good.
Disney
Yeah,
film.
the warmth of a woman's skin, like it's so good.
What?
It's like I'm just totally fixated on the screen like the whole time he's talking, and even though it's just him describing, like you can like see the whole process like playing out of them, taking the gold and everything like that, and then when she runs out, and it's such a great moment, it's all the skeletons, and then he's like, you best start believing in ghost stories, you're in one. It's so fun. It's such a great fun like Scooby-Doo, but with the great acting behind it and the dialogue or whatever, it just all comes together in these like really great fun moments. You have other ones too, Jack being on the beach and talking about like what a ship is and stuff like that. But I just like freedom. I was really appreciating the acting power here, and I just love Barbossa too. His design, he's the classic pirate. He's got the hat.
He's my favorite, man.
Mine
too.
There's
a reason they brought him back. They had to bring him back because he's like so engrossing. Jeffrey Rush nails this fucking performance, and like there's nobody in this franchise that is more like fucking archetypical pirate than him. He is, even fucking Jack Sparrow, who is our Cinder Boys. He's based on fucking Keith Richards, famously. he's not doing a strictly pirate thing. He's doing something a little more outlandish, and it makes him very charming in his own way. But Jeffrey Rush is the pirate in this movie.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
100%. Like in 2003, it was all about Johnny Depp. And then, watching this again, Barbosa is really the star of the show.
I think this is Johnny Depp's most iconic role. And I feel like Johnny Depp has played a lot of really iconic roles, but I think when I think Johnny Depp, this is top tier for me. Like, I don't know that anything else rings out quite as loudly as Captain Jack Sparrow for Johnny Depp necessarily. There's a lot of
Edward Scissorhands is the only contender for the crown there.
Yeah.
I really do think that it really is a matter of widespread appeal that I think that's true. I think you're right, but I think that's the key differentiator because Edward Scissorhands, as widely spread as that was, it is not the crowd. It is more of it's more of an artsy ass fucking Tim Burton film than this Gore Verbinski fucking action adventure flick. So
I think also that Edward Scissorhands, I think there's so much of Tim Burton in that character that he really owns a lot of that character. Whereas Captain Jack, it feels more like Johnny Depp had more creative control over who that character is. So maybe that's why it feels a little more iconic because it feels like it belongs more to him, where Edward Scissorhands feels like it still belongs half to Tim Burton for me.
True. And we're all, of course, forgetting the Mad Hatter, his famous turn as the most beloved character of all time.
He had a lot of ad-lib lines in this movie. Ya savvy, him saying that was an ad-lib line. Also, him dropping in the eunuch. You're not a eunuch, are you? Was
that an ad-lib?
That was an ad-lib, and he worked it in at least twice, maybe 3 times in this movie, and that was one of those things that when it happened back in 2003, I didn't really think much of it, but watching it now in 2025, if this movie came out now, can you imagine the outrage of oh, Disney, oh, they're grooming our kids. The shit that people would say if this movie came out now is it would blow your fucking mind. It's just a silly movie. It's a silly movie.
That's true of every fucking movie. You're not wrong, but also I don't know that they would get hung up on that, or it would be something fucking stupid like that.
If you want to be real about it, there's actual grooming in this movie, and but the thing is, I don't think that anybody would have a problem
People
with that.
Bathe in this thing.
Just Jack Sparrow saying the word eunuch, because Elizabeth being in 8 maybe at the very beginning of this movie, and then we jump 8 years into the future.
She's probably 10,
maybe. So 16-ish, 20.
Because I think Keira Knightley was around 18 or 19 when
17,
she filmed this, right?
17.
I think people are far more likely to get if this movie was released today, the thing that would get people more pissed off is the line about the corset, because God forbid anybody make a comment about women having difficulties of any kind.
It's also hard to be a man, Randy.
Why don't you appreciate my struggle?
Sometimes I sit on my nuts, okay? That sucks.
Shit sucks.
I mean, that does
The old rusty gutter.
Well, I will say, speaking of women in this franchise, there are some really great female characters in this franchise. And of course, Elizabeth is great in this movie because she is this proper, beautiful, society woman, but she's also a great pirate. And when she sort of loses the trappings of society, she's tough and she's smart. She, Will comes to rescue her, and that's great. But she also kind of doesn't need him. She figures things out on her own. She's the one that gets she and Jack off the island. Yeah, and I really love all of that. Yeah, she's an equal in this cast of, characters. And then you also get Zoe Saldana in this tiny, tiny role where she is the Black Pearl is her ship, and she stands up to Captain Jack. And then, of course, we're here to talk about the first movie. But as we go throughout the franchise, we get other compelling female characters. And I find that really neat. And because when you think sea salty pirates, you think like gritty, dirty men. You don't think about like strong, beautiful women. And so that is something
You can tell a freshie from a salty by its long, narrow snout.
that was
Really loud.
Damn.
That was really loud. I haven't used that bump in a while.
There was like a really, really famous female pirate. I'm blanking on her name. I believe she was Chinese.
Well, look it up.
And
Yeah,
she
you're
had
right.
like 1,800 or like 2,000 ships at her disposal and like absolutely like wrecked people's days.
Ching Sui? Seo? Ching Seo?
Sure.
Ching, I don't know how to this. CHENGISAO. And apparently there's going to autoplay some video in this website. So thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Autoplay.
That sounds
well,
right.
there is, and I think the third one, when you have the whole like pirate council, there is a Chinese woman on the council. So I wonder if she's based on that real life
Maybe
pirate.
so.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from my understanding, like she never actually was murdered or like had to back down. She ended up just like doing basically whatever she wanted to, and then like negotiated for her own freedom, and then retired wealthy and like lived a full life. So like, good for her.
Woke.
This
woke.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
Xing Yi Sao is a former sex worker turned
Yeah,
pirate
yeah.
queen who terrorized the South China Sea in the 19th century.
What a
That's
resume.
Right.
Get you a woman who can terrorize.
Who can do both?
Oh, here I am wasting my life in advertising.
Yeah, you and me both.
Pirate's life for me. But I actually, this time around, I mean, this probably was always the case, but I know back in the day, I never really felt this way because I wasn't big on Lord of the Rings, but old Orlando Bloom, man, he just like he's not a great lead man, to be honest. I know people are
He's just
crazy
like a
about
white
him.
dude with a nice face. He's just,
You know what?
he's a
I think
face.
his most appropriate role for like how he was when he played that kind of pathetic prince in Troy. You know, I think that's kind of like his perfect kind of role. Because he's got this kind of pretty boy look, but in Troy, you know, he schmoozes and like seduces this queen and steals her, and then like can't fight for her or whatever, and has to have his
What a
brother and like
loser.
his kind of and his family like fight for him or whatever. And I think Orlando Bloom kind of fits that. I don't know, he doesn't scream leading man to me, and everybody else around him is acting so much better than him. Everybody,
That's fair.
Keira Knightley, you know, Jack Sparrow, Barbosa, like everybody's doing so much better than he is. And maybe he doesn't have enough special things maybe to do, or there's already a lot of like special people there,
don't know.
but he's just like, I don't know, he's just not special here.
I really feel like it's not the writing. I don't think is the issue with that, because like the Bootstrap Bill character, like all that shit, like he is pivotal as both a functional piece of the puzzle, and also he has a lot of agency, and he has clear desires, clear wants, and you know, and like the ability to surprise. He surprises at the end when he like rescues Jack and all that stuff. So I think you're right. Like he is the weakest of the principal actors in this movie.
Yeah. And I don't think he's bad. I just feel like,
No,
yeah,
not at
in
all.
a cast of people that have a lot to offer and a lot of character traits going on, he's just more of a normal guy. So I think it's harder for him to stand out. But I will say, Juice, like I do think he's very compelling as Legolas in Lord of the Rings. I do think that. But yeah, he's not my favorite in this franchise. And honestly, as it goes on, I get very tired of Will and Elizabeth. I'm like, break up. I'm like,
For real.
clearly it was young love. It was sweet, but y'all need to go y'all separate ways. Like, this is exhausting.
Well, the whole franchise becomes exhausting. I think I
Yeah.
saw up until
Damn.
I don't know which. Maybe you can answer this, Nicole. Which installment was the Singapore installment?
That's
they go to
that's
Singapore?
3. That's 3.
That is 3. Okay, that's the last one I saw then. So I'm with you guys. then.
Yeah, I
only
watched
saw
the whole
trilogy.
trilogy with my family last year, so I'm
okay.
pretty fresh on it. And like 1 and 2, I'm fully on board with, and then 3 it's kind of like the third installment of Lord of the Rings, where they're pulling out all the stops. It's so long, you think it's going to end like 4 times. Like literally, my dad was like on like the third ending, he was like, "End." Like, is this the ending?
I have shit to do today.
I have to work.
Because I do
have
think,
a job, Orlando.
Andy, like you were saying, I think in part 2, that's where technically I think this franchise soars. Like, I think the effects are not sketchy at all. Like, everything holds up. Davy Jones is great. Of course, we add Bill Nye and Stellan Skarsgård in part 2 to this cast of characters.
Skarsgård in that?
Bill.
He was Bill. Okay.
Bootstrap.
He's got all the
like it's been
stuff on his face.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, the barnacle, like just the fucking art direction in that movie is incredible.
I know.
Another movie.
And in this one
guys.
too, but
Come
that
on.
one amps it up.
Anyway, back to Curse of the Black Pearl.
Yeah, no, I mean, for especially too, for a movie that's based on a ride, I said this when we were talking about Haunted Mansion of, this is kind of like the gold standard, but at the same time, there's kind of like no excuses. I mean, that you almost have this kind of blueprint. I mean, there's a lot of amazing acting power here and things that you can't, always like replicate that. But I do enjoy the fun moments of like when they go to Tortuga and, they're pouring the drinks down the barrels into like people's mouths. Bob, you got something?
That scene is hilarious to me because there's prostitutes, people that are blackout drunk, people getting shot in the face, murdered. Like the whole like Tortuga scene is just like debauchery in this PG-13 Disney movie. It is hilarious. This movie is like pretty racy, to be honest.
It is
Whoa.
I mean, and it kind of has to be, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I love how like well they walk that line. This is still a family film.
Yeah.
I want like nobody really batted an eye when we were kids about this movie. At least not in my circles. We watched it on field trips, on like movie days, whatever.
Jack gets
it was an
slapped
easy
by like
go-to.
2 or 3 different prostitutes in that one scene alone. Like,
But because they don't talk explicitly about fucking, it's totally
it's
fine.
okay.
Yes.
It's all implied. But I mean,
all
to be
implied.
fair, I mean, when you go back to the ride, that's what's happening in the ride
Yeah.
too. It's this children's ride, and it's like one of the rides that's for really small kids. That's like a really small
They
kids
are
ride.
burning down the village. Burning it down.
It's the
They
problem.
made
They're
minor
drinking. They
adjustments,
have
though.
the
I'm sure
jugs with the
that's-
XX and shit like
Yeah.
that.
Time to
Yeah.
grow
They
up,
have made
kids.
adjustments to that
We're
thing
grooming
to make it
ya.
a little less horrible. Yeah, we're grooming you.
Get groomed
Where's me clippers?
Oh my gosh.
like my dog.
But I mean, I do like the moments that they bring into this, and they sing the song and stuff like that, but none of it feels too hokey. It all feels like in good fun. It never feels like anybody's like looking at the camera like this, like, this is what you fucking want, isn't it, you sons of bitches?
I go back and forth on that because I kind of feel like it is that, but I still love it. I just like it's well embedded in the material. It does not distract. It is well embedded, and that's where like I think it could easily have gone astray with just like simple pandering. It does have pandering, but it's well intertwined with things.
You know what it is, I think, is that they're the moments that harken directly back to the ride. If you're someone who knows the ride, you see it and you're like, oh, cute. If you're not someone that knows the ride, you don't even clock it. You know how sometimes when people try to shoehorn stuff in, you feel it, even if you don't understand the reference, you're like, I think that was a thing and I don't get it. But like this movie, I feel like doesn't do that. And I think my favorite instance of that is when they go to wake up Gibbs and they have to throw the water on him because he's sleeping with the pigs. There's a scene in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride where there's a guy like happily sleeping with the pigs. And I've always found it to be like this really charming little aside scene. So when I saw the water get thrown on Gibbs to wake him up because he was napping with the pigs, I was like, oh, I love it. But like, if you didn't know that, you're like, oh, it's just a salty dude just, living his dirty life.
I was about to say like all that shit was lost on me. And when I was watching this movie with my wife, who is like a theme park person, when that scene happened, she was like, "Oh, that's from the ride." And I was like, I never would have.
Yeah, I didn't know that
at all. Yeah.
That's totally true. Like, cause like, I don't know, you think about like the Haunted Mansion movies or whatever, and it really feels like those things stand out like a lot. And in this case, like I think honestly, it might come down to the fact that the ride itself has great storytelling in and of itself. It's just got little vignettes that are easy to integrate into things as a matter of course, not forcing them in. Like the dead men tell no tales or whatever, like the parrot saying that might be like the most noticeable part of it. That and the yo-ho, just because of how iconic it is. But like, if you exclude those things, like the dog at the cell or whatever, that's easily just like a fun scene in the movie, unless you know that it's from the fucking ride. Like it works really, really well. I think you're totally right about that.
Yeah, I also love the pirate designs. I love that because that's another thing, the twist of that has nothing to do with the ride at all. So them being cursed and being skeletons and stuff, that's this whole original idea. And I love how they utilize that. I love the ghost ship and the way that the fog surrounds it. And you see when it's chasing it, you got the ship in front and the fog is just like coming behind it. That's so fucking cool. And them being skeletons walking in the, at the bottom of the ocean.
Take a walk.
But you can still tell their
moment.
outlines. Randy's talked about this a lot. We talked about like a Beetlejuice and other things, but you have these specific pirates that maybe don't even necessarily have a name or anything, but they play parts in this scene and they have special designs.
The silhouettes.
You can tell their silhouettes even when they're walking under the water. You're like, that's that pirate and that's that pirate. And it's so cool.
It's
just
from the fucking ride. Thing. Honestly, like... I think it genuinely does. A lot of those designs of those characters are sourced from the ride. Like you can see a lot of those people even before they did renovations and all that stuff. That like specific hats that they wear or specific beard formations or whatever. The artists who art directed that ride were so strong that their fucking work carried over perfectly into a fucking cinematic film 30, 40, 50 years later, and it works perfectly. It's incredible.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you guys specifically about the horror elements. Like, what do you think the identifiable horror elements are in this movie?
When they walk under the ocean. Well, really, anytime, I guess, the moon is out and you see them like in their natural form, which is like a rotting corpse of a human being. But specifically when they all start walking under the ocean and then climb up the ship and just start murdering people in the middle of the night. Like that is the most horrific scene for me, I think.
Well, I mean, it's funny because in any haunted house, you'll have the skeleton outline and skeleton design, but it's hard to pick a whole lot of movies where skeletons are the specific monster. And I know that this has they're zombie, dead, cursed pirates or whatever, but you actually get representations of skeleton monsters.
Representation matters.
It does.
Representation matters. The skeletal community will not be erased.
Well, just for such an iconic type of spooky thing, of the skeleton, you don't get a whole lot of it in cinema necessarily. And so to have these specific kind of scenes that have skeletons as the kind of monster, the fear, the thing that people are running away from or fighting, that's really cool. I like the skeletons here.
Mm-hmm. It's miles away from House on Haunted Hill, I'll tell you that much.
But yeah, and then being tied to the moonlight too, I think was a great, tie into the moonlight shows us for what it is. Like that's it's just smart choices to integrate these horror elements into it. Because it could be like just they're always covered in fog or like whatever. It just, I don't know. It works so well with the spookiness of it.
Hey, we've been waxing this movie's ass for a good several minutes here. I'm curious to know where our negatives fall. There are a few things that are like ultimately kind of feel nitpicky because I very much enjoy this film, but I'm trying to be put on my critic hat.
Time to take it down a peg or two.
Let's take a peg. I gotta be a cruel piece of shit, or else I'm not a critic. So I hesitate to even say the phrase plot holes because it's fucking passé at this point to even go that route. But I love the scene of them like walking the ocean floor to get there. I love that stuff. It's great as a set piece. However, it runs counter to things that happen early in the movie, in particular when Elizabeth is threatening to cast the Aztec gold overboard as like her bargaining chip.
Yeah.
And
Like
they're
they
all
could
like
never
terrified
find
that
it.
she's going to drop it. It's
Yeah.
like, these motherfuckers don't have to breathe, we find out later. So
Yeah.
what are they so worried about? Like little things like that. Like, you know, in a movie that has like as much structure around its internal logic as this does, that sort of thing can stick out. In this movie, I don't think it generally does for me, but that's an example of something that I could understand somebody taking issue with. So I guess that's where I'm starting the ball rolling.
I only have one plot hole that actually really bothered me because I couldn't understand the logic of it. So they do a mutiny on Jack. He's separate from the curse, but specifically, we know Bootstrap Bill is a part of the curse because he sends a piece to his son so that they can't have it in revenge. So the logic should be that they threw him in the bottom of the ocean, but he also should be a skeleton.
He's immortal. Yeah.
He shouldn't be dead.
That is part
It's the
2, right? I think that's the second movie.
But
He comes back,
but in part,
but it's
he
a
does come
different
back. But the whole,
situation.
the whole situation is he was dying.
He died.
Well, we don't have to
differently.
get in that. But he's a part of the curse. He has a gold piece. He
Yeah.
sends it to his son. He should be a skeleton.
But isn't it? I'm sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, but
You won't be.
they said you're cursed if you take more than one piece.
Well, no,
so
because Jack
Catch
takes one
that.
piece later.
yeah. I think
Jack
it's
only
any-
has one piece.
I think it's just any of it, I believe.
because I always understood it that like he went there, but then they got rid of him. So before they started spending the gold and scattering the gold, Jack was already gone. So that he technically wasn't part of the curse because
But-
he wasn't. Because
Maybe
he wasn't.
thrown overboard before they got the booty,
But
because
they-
all that
Maybe,
Jack
yeah. That's what
happened was
I'm
Jack
having
Sparrow.
a hard. Yeah, I'm having a hard time
But then they
remembering.
wouldn't
Did
need
he
his
actually
blood
get there?
to break the curse?
Yeah.
They have to
And
have
also-
blood.
Okay, yeah, that's
And he wouldn't have been able to send a piece to Will. That's the whole thing. He has
Yeah.
a piece of the gold. He took one piece, and later Jack takes one piece,
He does,
and he's a
yeah.
skeleton. So if Bootstrap Bill took one piece and sends it to his son, which we know happened, he would be a skeleton.
This movie's
so yeah.
Whoa.
Bare minimum,
it's bullshit.
It's confusing.
It's bullshit.
Bare minimum.
It's all bullshit.
This gore.
0
We deserve
stars.
better.
May God have mercy on your soul.
But this time around, I've never really thought about it. But this time around, I was like, well, if Jack can take one piece and
Yeah.
Bootstrap Bill took one piece, wouldn't everybody just assume that Bootstrap is a skeleton sitting at the bottom of the
He
ocean
should,
right
yeah,
now?
he should just be
He
living
should
his
be.
life somewhere on a, island in the middle of the Caribbean, just getting
Living
hammered
his
on rum.
non-life.
Well, I feel like Bootstrap took more than one piece though, because he was around when they were all spending them and doing their thing. And when he realized what was happening, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to send a piece away." So that he technically took more than one piece. They all took more than one piece, but Jack was
Yeah.
already gone.
Yeah.
This
But
is
so
probably
he shouldn't
not
be a
worth
skeleton,
nitpick.
though, right? But he should
should
be
be a
logically. He should be a skeleton.
A zombie.
Speaking of-
a ghost pirate.
Guess
Speaking
that's
of
true.
zombie skeleton pirates, another thing that I would argue is maybe a little fucking confusing and silly, but works to the benefit of the film ultimately as a spectacle, is Jack Sparrow specifically, and like really any of them, becoming skeletal zombie men the minute that they steal a piece of gold. Like, he is automatically decayed the minute that happens. Why does that happen?
You just don't get
Like,
it, Randy. That's the problem.
That's exactly right. That's why I'm saying.
Oh, because it's supposed to be like a slow process, right? Where
Well,
they,
I mean,
they
you would think that they would
slowly
eventually
realize-
decay
Yeah,
and be like,
yeah.
"Oh my god, I'm not dying. Oh my god, this is a curse. I can't die. I can't feel, and I
Slowly
can't
rot.
die.
How he describes
I'm immortal
it,
and I can't
Barbosa
feel
does,
anything."
yeah.
That's the curse. So,
Right.
if they immediately like went into the moonlight and like, "Oh shit, I'm a fucking skeleton. Let's go put this shit back."
You would have
Like,
to. Well, I mean, just because it's a movie, you gotta you gotta show it. Like, if he stepped in the moonlight and looked exactly the same, but just didn't die, you'd be like confused. Like, what is he just?
Right.
I would be confused,
Of
and I would
course,
also be
yeah.
like, as a pirate who values the warmth of a woman, for example.
Randy.
Yeah, that sort of thing might happen
You
at nighttime,
groomer.
and that's just not going to happen if you look like goddamn rigor mortis. So,
A boy,
I prefer
rigor
the cold
mortis.
of a woman.
So it is a plot hole that we gladly forgive.
So there's that one. And also, too, a lot of those things there, I mean, they make the right choices because they're perfect for like the cinematic experience. Like you said, of course, if he wasn't a skeleton, it wouldn't like make visual sense. But also, to the logic of he shoots Barbosa first. And then we have to have this scene where it shows him drop it in, where it would make more sense if the piece was already in. Barbosa doesn't know that the piece is already in the chest, but he's already dropped it in the chest. But they got to make it cinematic. So, but really, that whole thing doesn't really make sense.
That's fair.
You can make an argument that like being that way is the curse, and they just like for whatever reason ignored it at first, and then eventually, you can make that argument. But you can't make that argument if you shoot somebody, then the curse is lifted, and then the bullet takes effect. That doesn't make sense, because otherwise all of their fucking facial features being gone would make them bleed out of their goddamn face the minute that shit hits the dirt. So,
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Did anybody think this movie was like 20 minutes too long, or was that just me?
I didn't, and I actually think that's one of my praising moments about this movie is the pacing of this is like. I was not bothered at like I could see that argument because I did not. I looked at the runtime after watching the movie and I was like, holy shit, that was 2.5 hours. I had no fucking idea. I just was enjoying myself.
I had an idea. I had felt it.
Okay,
I was like,
I can't argue with you, but I will say that for me, I did not hit that way.
It didn't bother. I can't think of anything I would have cut. I could see maybe around the timing of them dropping off Jack and Elizabeth. On the island being like, okay, come on, like we need. I could see that.
That was my favorite scene. They find all the rum. I was like, well, this is in the movie here. Just
I just mean like timing.
Rob's here for drinking,
but yeah, I mean, but it doesn't bother me. There's nothing specifically I would say like we really need to cut that out, you know.
By the way, one of my favorite, there's a lot of humor in this movie that still works for me. And one of my favorite comments happens in that scene when they're stranded on the island, when she's mad at him and she's like, well, you know, how did you get off last time? And he's makes the comment, unless you've got a lot of sails hidden in that bodice, unlikely. I love that. I love it.
You know what I noticed about that scene that I just never really understood before, and I could be wrong because it's not explicit, but she is trying to get him to be dead drunk. Like
Yes.
Like that.
Yes.
Like I never clocked that. I was always like, man, she's so friendly with him all of a sudden. I know that they're like stranded on an island together, but damn, like she's like leaning up on him and saying like, oh, let's drink to what I don't remember the specifics, but there was like every line says for like that entire string of her being drunk, him being drunk, and to the point where he's kicking it back and just falling out of frame, which is a great scene. All of that is like manipulation, and I never clocked that. I don't know if it was just me not giving her enough credit or just like that I was just not picking it up, period. But for whatever reason, I picked that up this time. I'm like, man, she is like, I have a lot more like affection for that character than I did when I was a kid, as I guess what this is netting to.
Yeah. She definitely knows that Captain Jack's here for a good time. So she's playing into that, and he's getting drunk and she is not.
That said,
had to be barrel proof. It's for it to catch fire like that. That's pretty
Bob
high
knows his
proof
rum.
shit, you know. That's
The good stuff.
They don't make it like they used to.
Rob still makes a pretty good rum runner, though. I'll tell you that much.
Come on down to Florida. Any other major points you guys want to touch on before we rate this thing?
Ooh, I feel like we could talk about this for a long time, but
Yeah.
I think we covered a lot of
clearly
the
have a lot
the
of
big
effect.
We're
ones.
here for a good time, not a long time. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's rate this thing out of 5. Nicole, how do you feel about Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl?
So clearly I love this movie. So I have a real fondness for the PG-13 like family adventure movie, like your Indiana Joneses and your Lord of the Rings and those type of movies. And I feel like we don't get them a lot anymore. So for
Of
me,
this quality, that's for damn
yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean is like one of those like great franchises that fits that action adventure, family friendly but still fun movie.
An adventure without politics or incest. I mean, that's pretty hard to come by these days.
Pure grooming.
And I like I said, I fell in love with Indiana Jones movies when I was a kid, and like this to me just sort of like follows in that tradition. So there's a lot of nostalgia, even though I wasn't a kid when I first saw this, but there's still a lot of nostalgia for me. I think this movie manages to have a really just like well-balanced mix of adventure and humor, and then those little spooky elements that we like. The story is good, but also the characters and the actors, I think, really bring this movie to life for me. All those characters really, that helps to smooth out any plot holes that we may have. We just want to go along this adventure. I really have very little negative to say about this movie. Maybe the effects are a little rough, but honestly, I think for their time, I think they're spot on. And even now when you watch them, I think they're still pretty good. Like I said, Will and Elizabeth's relationship to me is maybe a little overly sweet, but I do love the end when she says, no, he is a pirate. Like when her father is like, oh, you're going to marry a blacksmith. And she said, no, he's a pirate. I still love that line.
Oh, boy. Kink's awakening.
Mm-hmm. No dry bodices in the building. I'll tell you that.
So, and also this movie is well over 2 hours long, and I think it totally earns it. I am the first person to criticize a movie for being too long. I'm the one who's always like, get an editor. But this movie to me earns it. I'm in for the runtime. For me, this movie, it's a classic. It's a movie I will continue to visit from time to time. And I think general audiences are going to continue to find this movie of the decade. So it's a 5 out of 5 for me. Ooh. 5 out of 5.
Perfect film.
Wow, there you go.
All right. Ray and Deezy, how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've been very positive towards this film, and I don't see that going away from me. Ultimately, the thing that I'm going to instill a little bit of accountability in myself, in that I don't think that this movie scratches a horror itch as a horror person. I think it's possible that there are like some young horror heads that are introduced to horror by way of this movie, but I don't think that they're really getting horror. I think they're getting like a couple of horror elements, and that is like that's a foothold in, no question. But I think that's what's going to be like the big ding for me, because I'm going to grade it on that particular curve. Just putting that out there now. So yeah, that said, the acting in this movie is fucking great. The motivations, the characterizations, all those things, they're very easy to understand, very easy to parse. Watching the one-upsmanship that happens creates an incredible pace for this movie. And another movie, like I said earlier, in a movie that was about just like people or whatever, it might seem a little tiresome that it's like, oh, I got one over, and I got one over, and I got one over. But they're scalawags, and there's something about that characterization that makes all of that fucking work. The graphics or whatever are like they still hold up plenty well enough for me. I have a lot of nostalgia on this movie, so I am including that, but I'm keeping it tempered. Let's see what else. I got a little list here. The length never bothered me. I think the pacing of this movie is fucking great. I think that, like, honestly, that one-upsmanship and the way that that's framed makes the length of this movie completely fucking acceptable. Every fucking 20 minutes, you can expect to be surprised by something. Somebody's motivation will have been turned on its head. Somebody's stated goals will have been recontextualized. Something will have been twisted. And I like it keeps it fresh through the whole fucking thing. Let's see. I covered the horror adjacency, the acting. Oh, and this is the thing that we have not touched on yet, but needs to be said. This fucking score is incredible. Yeah, it is. It is an all-timer. It is up there with your Indiana Joneses, with your Star Warses, with like, this is fucking incredible score. And weirdly enough, this is the one thing that I know for a fact causes my spouse to spurn this film, because they had to play this in marching band every day for like 18 weeks or some shit. So, you know what? No accounting for that issue. Trauma, it has its place in this conversation. Go with God. I fucking love the score. Most people do. It is so good.
Yeah.
So all of that said, I'm going to give this a 4. And again, that is with the horror adjacency worked in. So if it was strictly on just like movies you enjoy, fucking 5. But it's a 4 for that reason.
All right. Juice.
Aye.
What about you?
Yeah, I like this movie a lot, and I was very happy that I didn't disappoint me watching it years later, and having a kind of fondness for it. But yeah, I don't know. I just the logic, like Randy was saying, the logic all checks out as far as like somebody getting one over. I like the kind of schemes, and they all make sense. And I like also too, it's nice to have this kind of gray character. You know, a lot of times you always have the good and versus the evil and stuff like that, and it is nice to have this kind of in between representation, and it kind of teaches some kind of good lessons in that way too, of like they're like, you know, just of like, don't trust everyone, or I don't know. I think the way that he acts or whatever, he's very friendly, and like you kind of want to root for him, but you see he's kind of a piece of shit a lot of the time, you know, all these different things. So I think that's an interesting character to include, especially in a type of studio that likes to lean into that more like, you know, all good, all evil type of representation, especially earlier stuff. So I like him as a character. The comedy is really great too, from kind of like everyone. You know, Barbosa's got some really funny lines. Obviously, you know, Jack Sparrow's got some really funny lines, but Elizabeth too. You know, the corset stuff and stuff like that. Like that's just it's really charming, and like the situational humor, like them walking under the water with the ship or with the little canoe or whatever. It's just, I don't know. It's just funny, but it's also like exciting and things like that. Again, just really there's not a lot of negatives for me. I would just say Orlando Bloom is underwhelming, and even like the time when he was like when they're talking about Jack and he's like trying to imitate Jack, there were a couple like cringe moments. I was like, "Ooh, Orlando Bloom, you're not very good, are you?" And stuff like that. So yeah, I kind of feel this way in a similar way of how I rated Beetlejuice, where like I really enjoyed this film. I like it a lot, and I'm like want to revisit it a lot, but it's not exactly a perfect film for me. So I'm gonna put it in between. I'm gonna go 4.5.
4.5 from you, boy. Soju. All right.
Robert,
bring us home here. Where are
rate
we
this
going?
one.
So I like this movie. I definitely have a lot of nostalgia for this movie. I remember seeing this when it came out. I want to say it came out like August of 2003. I might be wrong. But I remember like being in the theater and like a huge storm was rolling through and knocked the power out. And it was like a packed house. Like the theater was sold out and just like no power. And we were just like sitting there hoping the power would come back on. And eventually it did. And we got to watch the movie. And it was just like everybody loved it. Everybody was just eating this shit up with a spoon. And I'll like always fondly remember that. So like I do have some nostalgia. I think it's a great action adventure movie. I think it does work somewhat well as like a gateway horror film. And I also just always have a soft spot for like ghost pirates. I don't know if there's anything cooler in the world than like a ghost pirate. That is the coolest shit ever. I just fucking love that.
What about dinosaurs, bro?
Well, Rob, you got a new career path.
Dinosaurs are fine, but they're no ghost pirates, man. That's the coolest shit ever. I do think this movie sort of questions pirates in an interesting way, but also like makes you ponder, well, you know, they're just doing what they got to do to get by. But I do like there's a certain, you know, the British Royal Navy is not exactly native to Jamaica. So like I think there's a lot of like gray area there that they're not necessarily exploring in this movie that I think would have added a lot of value. Like, who's the real pirate here? Are they really that different? And like, they really don't do anything with that in this movie. It's the white folks are right, period, even if they're on this, you know, beautiful island of Jamaica that they don't belong in. So like, I mean,
we get there eventually.
Okay. Well, I don't know that I've seen that movie. And if I have seen it, I just don't remember.
That's
it,
the thing is like, Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl, in my opinion, is a self-contained thing. Like,
Yeah.
it is like it is its own thing. They expand upon it, and that is ignorable completely.
It is.
Yeah, okay.
It's true.
But if you take it into account, sure. But I think it needs to be able to be taken on its own merits, just not just as a film, but also because it just stands alone. Anyway, Bob, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of like just straight up murder in this movie, like I mentioned, which kind of took me aback, to be honest. So like as far as like this being a PG-13, I think it's kind of a hard PG-13. There's a lot of like gruesome shit happening in this movie that I guess I should give it some credit for if we're gonna grade this on like some sort of a horror kind of scale here. I think the action, most of the CG works, holds up well. I also like I said, this is like the character of Captain Jack Sparrow, I think, is just monumental, really, like iconic. Like, I know people throw the word iconic around pretty easily these days, but I truly believe this character is iconic.
It's an iconic take.
And I think it's Johnny Depp's sort of like most notable character for sure, and I think he famously had a lot of leeway, and maybe to like Disney's dismay. I read some like trivia about how like they thought he was trying to just tank the movie with like his take on this character. It was supposed to be like way more even keeled, or just a more flat take on a pirate, and he shows up with this like swagger and yes savvy, and they were like not about it at all. But I guess they ended up letting him do his thing, and like that's what made the movie, really. I mean, many things made the movie, but I think that's what really pushed it over the edge, was his take on this pirate, this rock star pirate character of Captain Jack Sparrow. So there's a lot of good stuff here. I like it quite a bit. As far as horror goes, it's light on the horror, but I think the horror is there. And I think it's a solid 4 out of 5. I think that's a fair rating for this here. That's going to put our aggregate at a 4.4. So let's go ahead and jump over to our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users have to say about Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl.
Certified.
You have to speak a little faster next time.
Caribbean or Caribbean? Like, is there...
It's Caribbean, you swine.
Is it?
I say Pirates
of the Caribbean.
Sometimes I say Caribbean. Sometimes I say Caribbean.
See,
it really is like about the flow of
contextual.
Yes,
I totally agree. There's no
I think so.
consensus. Yeah.
Rob, let me ask you this: is it New Orleans or New Orleans?
Or is it?
It's not New Orleans.
It is.
Yeah, that's right.
Nicole
Because the people
knows.
from New Orleans tell you that's right. So listen to the Caribbean folks, and they'll tell you. I can't tell you what they'll say because I obviously have no idea. But somebody might be able to tell you in this world. Hey, here's the Rotten Tomatoes segment.
There you go.
In which I'm going to have these folks guess within the best of their abilities what the aggregate positive score is for Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl on RottenTomatoes.com. Starting, as we always do, with the critics or the tomatometer, and moving on afterwards to the users, or otherwise known as the poopometer or the popcorn meter. So here we go. There are 219 critical reviews of this film on RottenTomatoes.com. 219. Keep that number in mind. I'm going to let our esteemed guest, Nicole, kick us off for the critics, at least. There are 219 reviews, as I said. What percentage would you say are positive reviews?
I think this is going to be largely positive. I think, like I said, this has just continued to be a classic. So I'm going to go with the boys. Give me 86.
Oh, all right. The boys are back in town. All right, Bob, you heard an 86 from our esteemed guest, Nicole. What about you? What's your esteemed guess?
I'm going to take the over on this. I think it's going to be pretty high. I'll take a 90 flat, please.
90 flat. All right. Soju, where are you coming in at? Over, middle, under?
I don't get a lot of opportunities to guess my favorite sexual position, so I'm going to take the over again with the 96,
All right.
Whatever
Put that
that
butt
is.
on the back of my head.
Fart on my bald spot. I love it.
The
Butt
wind.
to bald spot is my favorite position. Okay. So we got 86 from Nicole, 90 from Bob, and 96 from Soju. Well, the correct answer, I got to tell you, 7 percentage points away from one of you. And that person is going to be Nicole. This is an 79%.
Whoa!
Wait, I know.
shit.
Still certified. Don't get me wrong. But that is lower than I expected.
A little
It sounds
low.
like you guys as well.
It's a little low.
Yeah,
Whoa,
that is
whoa.
surprisingly
Pump those
low.
numbers up. Damn.
That's all.
How many reviews was that, Randy?
Low.
219 reviews counted.
That's a lot, though. That's a lot.
It is a lot, and Lord, and it's also, this is the thing. It's a blockbuster. A lot of people in the critical community, in my opinion, will make their career based on dissenting on especially the biggest
Yeah.
films.
Good point. Smart, Randy. Smart.
You know, I would not have made my wager on that number, but that's my rationalization right now. All right, moving over to the poopometer. 250,000 plus ratings from the users. 250,000 plus. We're going to go in reverse order here. Soju, you kick us off here. Out of those 250,000, what do you think the aggregate positive score is?
Well, with that many ratings, I think it's going to be capped for sure. But still, I mean, I don't know. I don't ever hear a lot of people speaking poorly against this movie. So I think it'll get a bump from the critic score, a scotch. So I'll take 84.
84. Okay, an interesting number. All right, Bob, bringing up the middle here. What are you doing, meat?
I got to take the boys 86.
Oh, I didn't want to
The
steal
boys,
from Nicole,
86.
honestly. That's why I kind of like kept myself in check. I know she likes
Oh,
the boys.
Rob's
so.
not that principled, of course. He's a scallywag.
Rob's
He's a
not
Take the
Gentleman.
boys for
like
myself.
soju, you know.
You're so
Rob's
noble,
greedy for
Juice.
the boys.
Juice. I got it.
I know.
Just
I
a
know.
noble to save that for our esteemed
Taking
guest.
the will stance on this. What are you doing?
Randy
What
shot
mistake.
is that?
We've
How many-
discussed this.
Randy's
Ooh, you
on
took
shot like 4 or 5.
This is 5. This will be 5.
Randy, just finish the bottle. Just,
Jesus.
just.
I mean, it's a fresh bottle. I don't want to die.
It always
Um,
is.
It never
It's
is.
like the
Anyway,
Red Stack.
all right, Nicole, bring up the rear here. What do you think? We got 84 from Soju, 86 from Bob. Where are you at?
90. Give me a 90. I believe in the people.
All right, 90 flat. Well, I got to tell you, bearer of great news. One of you is dead fucking on. Spot on, no notes. And that person is going to be Bob. The necktie remedy
boys!
takes it. The boys take it. 86
The boys are back in town. That's why you always take the boys for yourself. You take them. You take the boys.
Captain Jack
want
Gobert.
Can I retroactively
savvy?
make that my senior quote?
That's why you always take the boys
That's why you always
yourself.
take the boys.
for yourself.
Ooh.
So,
Not without my effects, you savvy. Where's all the rum going?
God damn.
oh, geez.
All right. So yeah, 86. Congrats to Bob on that one. And shit, who won the first one? I'm drinking.
Nicole.
Who won the
Nicole
first
won.
Nicole.
Me.
Okay, great. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. I knew that. Nicole and Bob, congratulations to you both. Here is the aggregate or the critics' consensus, as it's called. May leave you exhausted like the theme park ride that inspired it. However, you'll have a good time when it's over. I don't know if this person who aggregated this has ridden this ride.
Or
Not
seen
an-
the movie.
not an
Exhausting.
exhausting
Yeah, it's
ride
not
in any
like
way.
that's a,
It is a slow dark ride. It's cool. It is a slow dark ride.
You savvy.
Back me up, Nicole. Come on.
Yes, it is. It's quite pleasant.
doesn't leave you exhausted unless just waiting in line to get there leaves you
Being
exhausted.
at Disney leaves you exhausted.
You get
sure,
to cool
sure.
down for a second, which is really nice.
really.
There is a chance you might fall
More
asleep
refreshing
on
than
it.
anything.
You might fall asleep on it.
Yeah. 3 minutes of blissful sleep as Jack Sparrow whispers sweet nothings.
You get
into
that
your ear
smoky
holes.
smell. Yeah.
Oh my god, that smell! The smell of that fucking insane
great.
chlorine mixed with the blue bayou
Spot on.
And the
good shit.
gunpowder.
and the gun. Yes, the real gunpowder. All right, let's read a negative review. Let's find out if it's funny or not. Probably not. We're not that lucky. Were it not for Johnny Depp's crassly reassured character creation of the scoundrel pirate Captain Jack Sparrow, there would be nothing to relish in this overlong and witless waste of celluloid based on a Disneyland ride.
Witless?
In case you need to be reminded what this was based on right at the end. Hold on, wait a minute, what?
Oh my god.
I don't know, man. That's dumb. One more. Here we go. There's always too much going on, which is easily forgivable for a while, but as the minutes mount, the flaws are only accentuated. What flaws? Tell me the flaws. Give them to me.
I mean, we
This
pointed
blurb
out a
If
is
couple
somebody
flaws.
said
This is not a comprehensive blurb.
If somebody said it was too long, that's fine. 2.5 hours is
No,
long.
it is.
For a family.
But I don't think he's saying that. I think he's saying that
But
it's,
yeah.
there's too much going on, and because it's long, that
Yeah.
becomes arduous for him. And I think it's fair to say that there's a lot going on. I think there's fair to say that it's potentially over long. I don't think that those things necessarily hurt each other. I think that having stuff going on keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
But that's just me. It could. I don't know.
It feels a little
I would
redundant,
make the opposite.
to be
I would make the
honest.
opposite argument for Transformers films. So what do I know?
Yeah.
All right, that's our Rotten Tomatoes segment. What's up next, Bob?
I think
or
we got
Nicole,
a
perhaps?
shitload of trivia. Let's do it.
It's totally time for trivia.
Oh yeah. So Nicole, I believe you got some trivia for like the rides, right? Is that
Yes, I do. I am going to try to keep this brief as we have other things to get to. Randy, I hope you have like a buzzer bump for me in case I go too long. You just buzz me, just cut me off.
I would never know if you were going too long. Give me way
Randy
too
just
much
checks
credit.
out during
I'm
this
not
time.
the
This is
timekeeper.
Randy's.
I am not the
Randy's done.
timekeeper at
Actually,
all.
Randy's done with the show now.
Okay, Bob, you have to give me a land the plane
Okay.
signal.
Okay.
Then, you know.
Looks like
Bob
that.
is, Bob is the beekeeper here, not me.
Keeping the beat, keeping the beat. Yes, it's true. I'm keeping the beat.
Okay,
true.
so we are all Florida folks, so we are most familiar with Disney World. However, Disneyland is where this ride originated. And the really cool thing about Pirates of the Caribbean, is that this was the last ride that Walt Disney was personally involved in. So this is an OG Walt ride, and that makes it very special to me personally. It opened March 18th, 1967, 3 months after Walt's death. So he probably got to see it in its final iteration, which makes me really happy. But sadly, he did not get to see it to fruition. Originally, Pirates of the Caribbean was supposed to be a walk-through wax museum type attraction. However, they debuted It's a Small World at the 1964 World's Fair, and that was a boat ride. That thing went gangbusters. Everybody loved it. And so they said, hey, let's turn Pirates of the Caribbean into a boat ride. And of course, it fits perfectly into the story. As we all know, I cannot envision Pirates of the Caribbean not as a boat ride. The Disneyland version is in New Orleans Square, which is next to Frontierland. So at Disney World, you have Liberty Square next to Frontierland. But because of that, because it's in New Orleans Square, it's New Orleans themed. And when you get on the boat, you're going through a Louisiana bayou, and there's like a little sign for like Lafitte's Landing. And really, really cool. As you're riding the boat, like right across from where the boat is, there's the Blue Bayou restaurant, which is famously one of Walt's favorite places to like entertain guests. Randy, You got a point?
I just gotta say, the one and only time I went there and got to experience this, we went to the Blue Bayou and sat catty corner to Caitlin Olsen and Rob McElhenney and their kids. It was really cool.
Really?
And of course, we did not bother them, but I felt really good about that. It was really fun.
The first time I went to Disneyland, I saw Ryan Gosling and also did not bother him. So, you know, if you're going to see celebrities,
always bother
the moral of this.
I mean,
Slapped his fanny.
Hey,
when I say didn't bother him, I did holler
You
at
would
him.
have said, "Ooh, all right."
what's up, boy? But I did bother him.
He had a birthday button
I didn't
on, so I just said happy birthday as he walked by. I did not hassle the man. So
That's
there you
I'll
awesome.
tell you what,
That's super
my mother-in-law worked at the Haunted Mansion, a little bit different, but got to escort Michael Jackson onto a ride once.
Really?
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Disneyland.
Cool people go to Disney, and also everyone else goes to Disney.
Yes, it's true. It's true. Okay, so back to Pirates. So that's the deal with Disneyland, and the ride at Disneyland is like way longer than the one at Disney World. So Disney World opened in 1971 with Magic Kingdom, and they were not planning on having a Pirates of the Caribbean ride. They said, hey, Florida is close to the Caribbean. People are not going to be interested. So instead, they were planning on doing this Western River Expedition boat ride that was themed like the Wild West. But due to popular demand, people were like, WTF, where is Pirates? And so they went ahead and crafted a Pirates ride for Disney World. And that is the one that we all know and love. Personally, I prefer the Disneyland version, which I don't say about a lot of rides, but it, like I said, it's a lot longer, and I think the storytelling is better at Disneyland personally. Randy, do you have an opinion about that?
Oh, I can't recall the differences. It's all fun.
Darn. So those are the two like iconic ones that most people are going to be familiar with, but there are many Disney parks across the world. And so, here's the deal too. The one in Disney World is at like a Spanish fort. So instead of being in Louisiana Bayou with Jean Lafitte, you're at a Spanish fort. So the Pirates of the Caribbean in Tokyo and Paris are both sort of the fort theme. But there's this over-the-top version in Shanghai that opened in 2016, and it is not a quaint, cute little boat ride down a river. It is this 3D like ride film where you go like under the water and you're like battling with the pirates. It's, you know, it's been Imagineered to death. So
That shit looks dope. Yeah, it looks great.
it does. It looks pretty cool.
Thank
so
God for YouTube, because you can ride these via YouTube, which is
love
very
that.
great.
Love that. So I love the little quaint ride. I love all the vintage Disney stuff. Long live Walt's ideas. But it is cool to see that it has endured so long that Disney sees value in keeping the story, but investing the technology and really like blowing it out and making it something really amazing. So that's it for me.
Rob, did you ride this
Nice.
when you went to Tokyo?
No, we did not hit this ride
Shame or shame.
in Disney Tokyo. We
Well,
wrote a bunch
wait.
of stuff. Huh?
Was Disney Tokyo? I don't know. Like Disney Tokyo, is that like a Disney proper park? Because I thought you guys went to Disney Sea.
Yeah. Did you do the Sea Park?
Oh, yeah, we went to Disney Sea. Yeah.
That is
Okay.
Disney Tokyo.
Well, don't they have,
so that's
don't
why
they
there's
have
one.
two?
I think that's like
two.
not like
I think there's
Disney.
two.
Oh, really?
I think there's
Okay, so
two.
it's two separate parks. Okay,
Yeah, I think
that's
they
what
have
I
the
was asking.
Disneyland and then they have Disney Sea, which Disney Sea looks amazing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Dude,
never
Disney
mind.
Sea is like the park to get to for the Disney adults, is my
'Cause it's so
understanding.
different
Everything I've
than
seen about
everything
it, it's
else.
like, and it's very modern. Like it was made most recently, so all of the like shit is deeply themed and fucking looks great. Like, it looks fucking
It was
incredible.
cool.
I love that sort of shit. You're not a theme park guy.
I'm not a
You-
theme park
this is-
guy.
This is lore. We
I
know
had a
that.
good time. My wife fucking loved it. I mean, it was like a bucket list trip for her. So like we went and
Yeah.
she really got
Alice
a lot
and me,
out
we
of
could
it.
get along
Yeah.
on that shit.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun. It was sorry. I feel like I should be more excited about it. It was fun. It was a good time.
It should have been me, Rob.
It was a good time.
Me and your wife should have been there.
I just want to hang out with Alice.
She
I
is
just want to
cool.
hang out with Alice. What's your problem?
You would have a
Rob?
good time with her. I'm sure you would. I've got some trivia about the movie. I'm going to blast through real quick, and then we'll carry on with the show. The budget of this movie is $140 million. It grossed $654 million.
Woo!
Fuck, man.
Your boy.
This is such a blockbuster.
It is.
Do they even make? Like, there's not even blockbusters like this anymore since
I don't
the era of streaming.
think so. This was from my research, which was light, the 15th highest grossing franchise of all time, I believe, and it made about $4.5 billion in total across the 6
Jesus
movies.
Christ, dude.
Wow.
That's insane.
Johnny Depp alone. Okay. So the first movie he made $10 million. The second movie he was paid $60 million. The third movie $50 million. The fourth movie $55 million. And the last movie somehow
He got a turd in the bed.
$90 million for the
No way.
I don't know if that was
That's-
like if he got like crazy residuals off the box office or what, but how that was broken
That's
down.
fucking nuts.
I know.
That is
Yeah.
that is honestly immoral. But
That's
whatever.
that's very irresponsible.
Yeah. I'm just looked up the highest grossing movie of last year, if I remember right, is Deadpool and Wolverine. I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it is. That made $1.3 billion worldwide.
Damn.
Holy shit. These kind of blockbusters just don't exist anymore.
They just
don't exist.
They really don't. Paying one dude almost $100 million just to be in the movie is
Just to
It just
behave
doesn't
like
happen,
Keith
yeah.
Richards for a few months.
Woo. Holy moly.
it's crazy.
Pay me any, like,
I will sell out.
pay me anything.
I will.
I'm
anything.
happy to
I'm
behave like
broke.
Keith Richards for fucking millions of dollars.
Yes,
Let me be
savvy.
clear about that.
Please, I'm starving.
I savvy.
I'm starving.
savvy.
I'm going to take this shot now.
Take it.
I sell my feet and shit pics for pennies.
My feet and shit pics. Those are the same pics, by the way.
God damn. My wife left a grumpy in
Waste
my
not,
bed.
want not.
I need every penny I can get.
Throw in an Archie and we're good to go.
An Archie.
Hell yeah.
God damn. Your boy Johnny Depp apparently wore contact lenses that also served as sunglasses, so they were tinted so that he could look and not have to squint his eyeballs when they were
That's some Dracula shit.
Love that.
some Dracula shit.
That's technology, by the way.
Smart.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Hell, if you have $90 million, I guess.
Well, I don't, Randy, as I mentioned before.
You don't? Hold on. I was operating on an erroneous assumption.
So
I would, you know
what's
what? If
next?
I had $90 million, I'd still do this podcast, though. Actually, I'd probably do it more.
Aw.
yeah,
That
you
means a
would have
lot.
to work. So yeah,
I would demand
Guys, you want to
pay
record
us.
every
Yeah.
day?
You could pay your buddies and you guys could all
I
do it full
know.
time.
I
now you're
wouldn't, but I
talking,
could.
Nicole.
I wouldn't.
I could, but I wouldn't. Are you kidding
I'd
me?
pay him to lick my boots, though.
I gotta pay for
Lick
all these
my boots,
all these
Randy.
bed grumpies. They don't come
That's
cheap.
what I do with my money.
God damn.
I like to subjugate my best friends. That's my favorite thing to do with my wealth.
Damn.
Well,
Don't we
maybe.
all?
You're when it comes to Jack Sparrow, some of the other folks that were considered to play the role, you got your boy Hugh Jackman, Heath Ledger,
Janus out.
and fucking Robert De Niro were considered to play the Robert De Niro seems a
How
little-
old was he at this
Wild.
point?
a little,
He's-
a little
I know
too
he's,
old, right? I think
he's still out there, but like,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. This
He
is
wouldn't have
Meet
made
the
it through
Fockers
5 movies.
territory.
No.
Yeah,
I
he
don't
was
think so.
already a Meet the Focker at this point.
He was.
Oh, yeah.
Do you savvy? Do you?
Do you savvy?
Do
I
you?
don't know if I do.
Like the swagger.
How are you
wouldn't
still
have
more
been
drunk
there.
than me,
Yeah.
Rob?
I'm not
not.
sure.
I don't think I am, to be honest.
You sound like it.
I don't think I am. So, like I mentioned, Keira Knightley was 17 when they were filming this movie, so her mother had to be on set, or a guardian had to be on set with her when they were filming. Her mother was, and they were doing a night shoot in the Caribbean somewhere, and it was just the two of them and a boat captain on a pretty small boat, and they hit some coral and the boat sank, and they were just like stuck in the middle of the ocean, and they had to like wait for a couple hours for somebody to like come by and pick them up, and apparently everything was
You're
okay.
shitting me.
And then after that, they were like, okay, all night shoots are just going to be like on set. We're not doing it out in the wild anymore.
Smart.
Yeah.
Hold on, like back up. So it was like her mother and
Hold up.
I hit a button.
You hit the right button, the perfect button. Hold up.
Hold
Wait a
up.
minute.
Somebody slap my ass.
Somebody just slap my ass before I lose my fucking mind. So Keira Knightley and her mom were out on a boat.
Yeah.
Just the two of them? Like
No,
and a boat captain.
With a boat. Yeah. Yeah. They had someone.
They weren't
but
driving
like
the boat.
it was not part of the shoot. It was just
No, it was like in between scenes, I guess. Or maybe
That's
they wrapped
fucking
for the night. But
terrifying.
yeah, it capsized. Yeah. And they were just floating around.
Jesus, that is fucking terrifying. Holy shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
where's that Kira? Where is she? Oh, we,
Do you savvy?
she never got back to her hotel last night.
She's just in the ocean. What else we got? So I found this quote from Keira Knightley talking about this movie. She said, quote, "They painted my tits on for the films, which is extraordinary because it's kind of a dying art form. In the past, they used to have whole sections of studios devoted to bosom makeup, and I loved it. Completely loved it. Because in the first time of my life, I had big tits, and I didn't even need surgery." She was 17.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
I don't.
Nothing
I'm not
about that is
understanding
something
Okay,
the
can I-
I feel
concept.
confident commenting
Justin, can I explain to you what I
Please
think is
do.
happening here?
Slowly.
So I only know this because I've seen like
Slower.
people on social media who are into makeup who show you how to do makeup. And you do contouring where you like make your cheekbones look sharper and all of that. You also can do it to your cleavage where
Wow.
you shadow it a certain way so it looks like your cleavage is perfect whether it is or not.
Look,
so I
here's the
assume
thing.
that's what the boob makeup.
I'm gonna start makeuping my abs on.
Look,
There you go.
You're not going to be the first, I assure you.
There you go.
Also,
Also,
like
something about
every
Keira
drag
Knightley-
queen in America should be making six figures. Is all I'm saying.
Talent.
Well, okay. There you go.
I got a bunch more
That's
trivia
crazy.
that we don't
That's fucking
really have time
nuts.
for, but I'll end it with this. There's a hidden Mickey in this movie, which all you
Ooh.
Disney nerds, I'm sure, know what hidden Mickeys are. They are
Tell us
Mickeys
more.
that are hidden
Tell us
throughout the parks and also apparently in the movies. There you go. Yeah,
Tell us
there
more.
the ears. So
All
hid
right.
Mickey at 35 minutes in this movie. There's a cannon shot that blasts off from the Black Pearl, and apparently the smoke that forms is a Mickey head in the sky.
Is it intentional though?
I don't
That's
know.
my question.
I don't know.
Now I
Is
gotta go back and
Meg
No,
watch
a
I know you
movie?
don't know. I'm asking the
I'm gonna
general
pull it up
public.
right now. So you said at 35 minutes?
Yeah, that's what
It's
this
like one of those
says,
things.
Yeah.
Hidden
Okay.
Mickey's is just three circles intersecting, essentially.
yeah. Randy, you're a
Because it's the
designer.
two
You
ears
know
and
that's
a head.
intentional. Okay, it doesn't just.
I mean,
happen.
some
I
of
know it's
them
intentional
are.
at the park,
three circles
but
don't
also
just
I know that
happen.
people see the word sex in the fucking dust cloud in
Aladdin.
the Lion
So
King.
now you're telling
because
me
they
the
want to
golden
see it.
dick on the cover of Little Mermaid is
Yeah,
just a
no,
figment
that's
of
true
my
though. That's a true thing.
imagination.
That's a real thing. Look up that golden dick.
Ah, damn.
I could just show you. Here we go. I'm just kidding.
Okay, that's it. That's enough trivia.
That's enough trivia.
Should we
What's
talk-
up next?
Should we talk Cooter of the Week?
Straight chillin'. Cooter of the
Juice. What is a cooter and why do we hunt them?
Arr. Cooter's character type, man, a straight chillin' exclusive. Cooter has to hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a Cooter, but we want the Cooter with the most points. The 5 points of Cooterdom are, I'm going to name 4 and see if Nicole can guess the 5th one that I'm leaving off. So I'm going to go all over the place. So overall patheticness, overall looking attire, sexual deviance, manipulation.
Smug arrogance.
Yes. So, do we have any Cooters in this film? This
You
Disney
gotta,
film?
right?
Kind
The
of everybody and
scalawag
kind of no
label is-
one.
It's everyone and it's no one because it's a movie about scalawags, which is, in my estimation,
So,
a parallel to a Cooter.
well, let's
at
just say
least.
Jack is manipulative. Okay.
Smug arrogance.
He pays for a
He's
lot
very-
of sex, apparently.
Pays
Yeah.
for a ton of stuff.
But
That's, I mean,
It's not deviant,
Consensual.
though.
Yeah, it's
I agree with that.
it's agreed
Okay.
upon. Yeah, yeah.
I will say, I don't know. Like in this particular movie, no, I think he might cross some barriers that match that in later films. Nicole,
think-
am I right about that? You
I
I think so.
Norrington might be.
Oh, Norrington. Okay.
Norrington is
I don't know.
smug arrogance. Oh, hold on. Let's deal with Jack
Okay,
first.
okay.
So manipulation, arrogance, not sexual deviance, maybe not. What else?
Overall looking attire and overall
No.
patheticness.
I mean,
He's
He-
killing it
he
and looking
looks-
tired.
yeah, and he gets everything he wants.
Yeah.
He's not pathetic.
So,
They do toe
He's
the
not
line
quite
with
there.
him being a terrible pirate and being extraordinarily capable, and like, what at the end of the day, he does get what he wants. So like, whatever.
Yeah. I think he's not
Yo-ho.
pathetic, really.
I don't think so.
All right,
So
so
maybe
I don't think-
maybe
let's
he's
hit
not Cooter.
Norrington. Let's hit
Norrington, okay.
then. Manipulative. Yeah,
He's
absolutely. I
trying.
think so.
He's
Like
trying his best. I don't think it's working.
he's not very good at being manipulative. Holy shit! But
Quarter of a bottle down. Talking.
I would say more than that.
Oh my lord.
Ran
Manipulative,
easy.
yes, but not very capable at it, which is maybe adds to patheticness, perhaps.
He does
Also,
he
very
does kind of-
cuckolded.
He redeems himself in the end. I think without being like he could be a bigger prick at the end of the movie than he chooses to be.
He definitely
To
could.
be fair,
Yeah.
but I do
Yeah,
think
I
there's
personally, I like his arc. I really do.
yeah,
Me
yeah.
too. It could have it would have been very easy for them to make him a I forget the character's name, but in Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, that character, not the Nazi, but the competing archaeologist.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking
yeah. I can't remember his name either.
I can't
Yeah.
remember his name, but
Gray
like
suit.
it's that sort of thing where he's just like a competitor who like is unscrupulous and can whatever. Like they could have made him a lot worse than he is as the short version.
He could be a lot worse for sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think
What
he
Clark
hits
looks like.
either.
Look at attire. He
Barbossa?
looks like he fits Barbossa.
Barbossa is manipulative. He stages a mutiny.
Mhm.
He is smug, arrogant.
Mhm.
For sure, yeah.
I think that you have to be smug. Like both, like
But
him
yeah.
and Jack and all pirates are smugly arrogant.
But he
Like, I
has
think
a
that
kind
has
of
to-
he does live by the code though. He always is a man of his word.
Yeah, but his word is
Yes, he lives by the code, but it's also a guideline. So
his word is
Just a
not very
guideline.
firm.
He's not sexually deviant.
I
is
think
it? Well,
he
maybe
is,
he almost
actually.
actually he all like when he hands over before Will shows up, he's like, "Oh, it's time to return the favor of our hospitality or whatever," and throws
That's
Elizabeth
true.
to the crew.
and
yeah,
he
up
also,
until that
Or
point,
Will
he's
stops
kind of like
him,
it's
yeah.
just manipulation. But at that point, it seems like it could become.
he also gives her the,
terrible
the
for her.
ultimatum of like, you're gonna have dinner with me or you're gonna have dinner with the crew naked. That's your
Naked.
choice.
I think
Yeah.
that's manipulation. I don't think that's actual sexual deviance.
Yep. Agree. Agree.
I think it.
Also, I love that line as well when he's like, in that case, you're going to be dining with the crew and you're going to be naked. And she takes the dress and he's like, Fine.
He's so
He's very offended.
Yeah.
I can't believe you would do this to me.
Fine.
Are we that hideous?
Can we move that guy? That guy and the dude from The Office? Are they one unit?
The
Oh,
dude from
Rosencrantz
the-
and Guildenstern.
Those guys
this
are
movie?
great.
The OG
They're
Dwight.
great. They're good comedy relief.
They are.
I don't know, man.
Those
like, this movie's
guys,
too
and then
beat-
the two, the guards in the Royal Navy, like
Yeah.
those four characters kind of like parallel each other in a great way.
They're like parallels. It's great. There's a lot of like
Anyway,
good
sorry.
side characters. No, I don't know that there's
I
like
don't know if Barbosa
it's
hits
too
enough, does
PG-13
it?
for that. I think.
Yeah.
Because everybody looks great and nobody's really pathetic. Those are the two main elements that I feel like we're really missing here.
And they want
Actually, there's
everybody
one
to be
person-
somewhat redeemable or like somewhat lovable, I guess. Not redeemable, but kind of lovable in some way.
Just for the sake of argument, the one person I would say is somewhat pathetic is Elizabeth's dad during the siege of the ship. A little bit,
But he doesn't hit
otherwise
any
he's
more
like
Cooter points,
he's a
yeah.
good guy who looks the part that he's supposed to play. I don't think he has a lot of other points, but that point I would give to him.
Yeah, he kind of has to hide and have other people defend him. Yeah.
And then afterwards, he does kind of like a "Oh, I got you." He does like a
Yeah.
little, like Muhammad Ali hit thing.
Yeah.
I don't think we
Cooter free?
have a strong Cooter. I think it's
Cooters.
too
All right.
PG-13 for a real Cooter.
Cooter
All right.
free.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and skip what we've been watching this week. We do have one voicemail that we have to get to, so let's jump into our Hotline Screams.
Hotline Scream.
If you guys are listening and would like to call and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We are hearing from the one, the only, Hugh Janus. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Randy Westside like shot 6.
Damn.
Yeah, Hugh Cullen, answering the Janus signal. On St. Patrick's Day in the mid to late 60s, I was in London, and I stopped by the recording studio to see my good friends John, Paul, George, and Ringo. How you lads doing today? As I walked in the door, Paul said, not good. I said, what's wrong? He says, we have a pile of music written, but we're having trouble with the lyrics. I said, oh, my aunt told me a couple of ways on how to get creativity flowing. Paul says, what is it? I said, that thing you're struggling with, you abruptly set it aside and you concentrate on a different problem. So that song you're struggling with, set it aside and quickly grab another one. Grab the one from yesterday. From yesterday, Paul said, and I said, yes, the one from yesterday, when all your troubles seemed so far away. And what do I do with this song? Just set it aside? I said, yes, let it be. Just let it be. There will be an answer. Just let it be. John says, what was her other idea? And I said, you relax. Close your eyes. Take 5 slow, deep breaths. On your last breath, make your mind a complete blank and just imagine. Imagine a different world. Imagine. No hell below us, above us only sky. Paul says, that's amazing. What's your aunt's name? Eleanor Rigby, I answered. Paul says, what does she do? I said, she picks up rice at the church where the weddings have been. He says, she sounds like an amazing woman. I said, she is. You always told me when I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me speaking words of wisdom. Well, I gotta be going, fellas. Paul says, you leaving already? I said, I want to get home before it gets dark. You know, it's a long and winding road that leads to my door. And I'm proud to say, from that day forward, I was always known as the 163rd Beatle. The last few times I've called in, I've been cut off. I've gone too long. So I want to make sure that everyone knows that I hope.
And that's the end of the recording. 3 minutes exactly.
Yes.
An all-timer by our boy
God.
Pete Guest. I mean, I'm sorry.
Hugh fucking
I'm just gonna let him. No, I'm just gonna let him sit there.
I can't let him do it. I can't let him
I'm
do it.
very, very drinking. Very drinking. I'm very
Randy
drinking.
just had his 8th shot right before the
I
voicemail
did.
dropped.
I did.
Holy
right
shit!
before the voicemail. That was great, though. Thank you very much, Hugh, for letting us know exactly how Forrest Gump you are to the Beatles. It was important that we all know this.
Love a Hugh Janus call.
I mean,
God damn, I love it.
amazing.
Bob, go ahead.
Amazing voicemail. I gotta say, I gotta give extra props to Hugh Janus because if you're listening, you've never called in before, the voicemail just cuts you off at 3 minutes. That's the cap. And he did not call in multiple times to time that out. He called in once and nailed it. Like he didn't hang up early. It was the perfect length voicemail for him to get cut off intentionally.
No, you're wrong because he didn't get to say exactly the end of his statement. I wanted to hear it.
Never know.
You're right. That's another Beatles song that we got to wait for. That's the new one.
Oh,
It's coming out.
My God.
It's coming out soon.
Tomorrow never knows, you know?
Dude. I mean, bravo, Hugh Janus. It's hard to outdo Hugh Janus, but I think he just outdid himself. Bravo.
Piggies.
Love
Piggies,
it.
piggies. Anyway.
Love it.
But great shit. Thank you, Hugh. A million
Thanks for
times.
calling,
thank you.
Hugh.
Again, if you guys are listening and want to call and leave a voicemail for next week, hit us up at 904-638-3231.
Hey, what prompt should we introduce that people can ignore?
I don't know. We've been asking for St. Patty's Day. I don't know. What else you guys got? Any ideas?
What's your favorite like horror adjacent movie?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
What's your
like that.
Pirates of the
Not quite
Caribbean?
horror.
Or maybe some people have some Disney experiences.
Yes.
You know?
I was going to say, like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of Disney in this movie. This is a Disney.
There's a lot of Disney in this Disney movie.
Wow, this Disney movie's got a lot of Disney. in
I
it.
know you guys.
I think I saw some
crazy.
hidden
It's
Mickeys
crazy that
here.
way.
Yeah. Anybody been traumatized by a dork ride? Would love to hear about that. You know.
Dude. I'm sure there have
I went
been.
on this dork ride once. It was pretty traumatizing. Let me tell you.
The dork ride was hanging out with us in middle school.
The dork ride, I like it. The high school years.
I just couldn't get off.
I'm still
I'm
riding,
stuck
baby.
on this dork ride for life. Oh, that's good.
God damn.
That's good.
All right. Yeah.
like Disney voicemails.
Send
Talking
us
about
your
movies.
Disney.
or
What
theme
about
parks.
Disney scares you? I want to know that
Yeah.
because, like, the thing is, we talked about this movie in relation to horror, to some extent, at least. Like that was the idea. So Disney it permeates all of our childhoods at this point. So at a certain point, something Disney has given you a fright, has given you some sort of scare. If you have any of those stories, I want to hear them. There's a lot, especially dark rides, I feel like provide that sort of thing. But there's a million things that Disney puts out. Maybe you were terrified by their fucking like Mickey Mouse Apple offerings that they sell at the fucking park. Who knows? I don't fucking know. Tell me.
Is Walt your night terror? Is he sitting on your chest? Can you not unsee him?
Sitting on my chest.
Oh, God.
I usually pay a lot of money for this.
But now it's free. But
You
now
should
I
be
don't know if
grateful,
I
you
want
little
it.
bitch.
But maybe I do want it. I don't know. Dorkride.com.
In addition to the daddy kink, Bob's got a Walt kink.
Oh, he's got a Walt kink. That's the same kink, by the way.
I don't think I do, but I'll go along with it for the gag. That's cool.
Thanks.
No, right.
That's cool.
God bless you, Bob, for going along for the gag. That's what's important.
I'm here for the gag. Call in 904-638-3231. Hit us up with your Disney stuff. Nicole, thank you so much for joining us this week. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, this was a blast, guys. Thanks for having me on for my other nerdy love. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah. Anytime. Check out Light and Shadow
Anytime.
Podcast. Everywhere you get your podcast. You will not regret it. I listened to your most recent episode, actually, and I loved it. It was like kind of a nice walk down memory lane, like for you, obviously, because that's what the show was about. But also for me, like back in the early 2000s when Saw was fresh. Like it was just like kind of a nice reminder of, Saw is what it is, flaws and all.
This was the Saw X episode?
OG.
No, my most recent episode was on just Saw, the first one.
Just Saws.
Yeah. And it's funny that like this episode is following with that episode because in the beginning of that episode, I talk about being on the college program because I saw when I was on the college program. And so I was doing this like hugely important thing in my life. I was away from home for the first time. I was like, it was the first time I had to like be an adult. And at the same time, I watched Saw for the first time, and it was like kind of the most serious horror movie I'd seen up until that point, and sent me down the rabbit hole. So I'm just talking about how kind of like those two spheres of my life overlapped. So anyway, yeah, it's a really personal, kind of fun episode for me, and I'm glad you enjoyed it, Bob.
I really did. Yeah.
And then I went and listened to you guys' Saw X episode because I watched it.
Socks!
And I mean, guys, it was a blast. I had a blast listening to that episode. It was great.
We just had to make sure nobody
Go Sox!
just
Sox!
go Sox. Next up, we were talking about the last U pick for Q1 of 2025, which is a movie called Phenomena, chosen by Vince, your boy Vince.
All right, Vince.
Phenomena from
Thank you very
1985. Have you guys seen this? You familiar with this?
No.
Bob, that's for next week. Have you seen it? Would you
I'll see it
recommend?
next
Bob,
week,
you're
Rob.
ruining
Come
it.
on.
You're ruining.
We're just gonna
that
record
segment for next
the show
week.
without ever watching the movie right now. We're just we're doing it. We're just doing it. All right. Well, yeah. Check out Phenomena. Get ready for next week's show, 1985. We're on all the socials. You know where we are. Straight Chillin' Podcast. Check out Light and Shadow everywhere you get your podcasts. And until next week.
Oh, yeah.
As always. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Ha ha!